Good morning, everyone. Excuse me. Welcome to our Tuesday morning trading session. Oops, let me get the screen share going here. Almost forgot. All right, so we're following the NASDAQ on this particular monitor. I'm also got crude oil and the 6E. That's the euro US dollar pair if you're using the Forex markets. Otherwise, you can also follow it from the futures. Regardless, they will both move the same. So here we are with the NASDAQ. It looks like it was a relatively quiet overnight session. Markets leaving off around 54.24, 23, opening just below there. Any gap we would have had, you could probably consider filled. Yesterday we did see the market fall off as anticipated. It did make a very strong recovery. And now we find ourselves trading not too far off yesterday's lows. Trade forecasters saying should be moving into a trend, more of a trend environment shortly. That would be nice. We'll give that a moment to settle in. What I'll do in the meantime, I had a question from Aspen the other day regarding Friday's trading. I think this is Friday here. Yep. And Aspen was asking about the oscillating market, a market that just keeps going back and forth, and how do you trade it? Well, first off, and he wanted me to review the signals, so that's what we're going to do here this morning while we're waiting for the NASDAQ to sort itself out. All right, so if I understood Aspen's email correctly, what he's looking at doing is, I mentioned this before, when you have a market that you suspect is in a sideways trading range, you're going to find that, pardon me, a lot of the selling is going to occur kind of in that top third, top quarter, top third. And likewise, a lot of the buying is going to occur down here in the bottom quarter, bottom third. Now, for that reason, what a lot of traders like to do is they like to get in here excuse me. This cough still catches in the back of my throat. What a lot of traders like to do is they like to get in here with limit orders. And they'll try to sell, say from the top end, and they'll cover down here, look to scalp a trade. And I always recommend, if you're going to try this, that you should take your profit when you have it. Ideally, a scalper's profit. If you're a little more ambitious, you can do a swing trading profit. And then they're going to try to do the same at the bottom end of the trading range. When prices drift down here, they're going to look for the market to hold support. They're going to try to buy in with a limit order, and then again scalp or swing out with a quick little profit. The problem with trading this way is that it is totally predictive. You are predicting what the market will do next. What's the problem with that, you say? Well, you don't really know what the market's going to do next. You're assuming that this market is in a trading range, so you short as it gets near the top end of the trading range. Here's the issue. What if it's not in a trading range? Or, even worse, what if your stop is a little bit too tight and you get stopped out? Now, I should point out I would never go in for the full amount here. I would either severely dial down the risk amount or just, pardon me, change to manual mode and just take like a single contract. So your risk will certainly be less. But you can see this is the challenge now. This is the challenge. You're trying to second guess what the market is going to do next, which is very, very difficult to do. The only time you can really get away trading this way is when you have a well-defined sideways range, one that's proven itself at least a couple times. So, I don't know, when you get looking at something like this, you may say, all right, we've got a market that's probably in a sideways range, and I may try to buy the lows and see if we get a little bit of a bounce. And in this case you did. And then you may say, all right, I'll try to short the highs and see if we get a little bit of a bounce. And you might have got a scalp profit out of there. You can see why I say you should take a scalp profit, because sometimes you're just asking too much trying to hang in long enough for the market to actually make a swing. What you're going to find is that in these sideways ranges, the markets will usually tag either end of the range 3 times before breaking out. That just seems to be how it is. So if you're planning on, staying in and out of a market this way, jumping in with limit orders and scalping out, it's going to be a very difficult way to trade. For me personally, when I recognize the market is in a sideways range, I tend to let it get outside of that range and prove that it can stay out. So by that I mean I look for a breakout, I look for a retest, and then I'll normally let the tool prompt me whether I want to trade higher or lower. Right, so I'll look for that signal to develop. Here we happen to have one right here. And that's how I'll tend to trade them. If the market is going sideways, it's sideways, right? Some traders refer to this as barbed wire, and you can see why. It's going to develop when you get a lot of yellow bars clustering at more or less the same price level. And you can see it's almost like barbed wire, and just like barbed wire, it's easy to get hurt because, of course, there's no follow-through. We missing anything here yet? Might be getting a move lower. Yeah, there was our first in-sync signal, as well as a first micro-macro cross. So it looks like we're poised to head lower here. But we'll come back to that in just a second. Not to worry, folks. It's A long trading day. We got lots of time. Okay, so let's go back here now to Friday's session. Okay, so here we are now with Friday's session. Does this look like a sideways market? No, not really. It may be trying to develop into a large trading range, that's true, but a sideways market, no, I would not peg it as a sideways market. Here we get our number one signal about a half an hour into the session. Is there anything wrong with this number one signal? No. But the problem with the number one signal is, where am I going to cover the trade? There's no real structure until we get up here. And you can see that the trade manager is saying, well, Eric, sorry, according to your account, that's going to be out of reach. So this may be a signal that I have to pass on. Now, is that a bad thing? You know, let's just move to risk percent mode, or pardon me, to manual mode, so that we can put this trade on. So the market brings you in. It gives you an opportunity to adjust your stop. So even though you may have had to start with a huge stop, you certainly could have rolled your stop down here when the market recommitted to the downtrend. Did we get our profit target? Oh, they just kissed the profit target. If you're running a break-even trigger, you would have taken the trade to break even at that point. But regardless, you could have been stopped out right here, and then you come back with a number two signal to buy, which would have been worth trying given that the number one signal did not follow through. But let's say you got stuck in this number one signal. You can see why we have to run your stop so deep, because there's very little structure here. And you need to run your stop that deep so you have at least one chance to adjust your trade. But as I pointed out, you actually had an opportunity right there if you were paying attention. So the number one signal didn't really work out. You would have taken a small loss or perhaps a break-even stop out. Then you come back with the number two signal. That would have been worth trying given that the number one signal did not have any follow through. And then from here you bounce around a little bit. You come back with a number one signal, a trend change signal. That would also be worth trying. And you could probably cover the trade to here. And did that get to the profit target? No, it also hit the break even and flinched. If you weren't running a break even, you should probably think about doing something with your stops off of here. And then the market just kind of starts bouncing around a little bit. We're getting a couple number three signals, and then we finally come back with a number three. So you can see if you keep your stops far enough away, very often you'll be able to ride out some of these swings and whatnot, giving you a chance to actually hold in long enough to realize a profit. That's why I'm a big one for not strangling your trades. So my personal opinion is that you get away from the notion of trying to predict what the market will do, and rather you get into a habit of trying to react to what the market is doing. Aspen, yes, all these sessions are recorded, so you can review this. I'm sorry, I don't know where Adam's got the email or the videos posted right now. I think they're at the YouTube channel, but you know what? If you send Adam a email, he will direct you to where you need to go. All right, so it looks like we actually got some very, very strong follow-through off that signal. There's our number one cloud crossover signal. Huge follow-through there this morning. We are definitely in a seller's market right now. Going to be a few traders looking for a pullback of some sort as an opportunity to try to get short again. Of course, you can just get short. The problem, of course, as I pointed out before, you're going to have to run a pretty deep stop. Doug is asking, how do you set up the auto break even on the trade manager? You go to your trade manager, so that's one of your strategies. If you already have your trade manager on, you have to turn it off. So here your Enable tab, I'm going to move that to false, click Apply, and then here near the top, the second heading, are your auto break-even functions. So yours is going to be set at false. You want to turn that to true to turn it on. And then you can preset your break-even in the number of ticks that you want. Typically, I set it at about 75–80% of my profit objective. So for the Raptor, I'm looking for 20 ticks on the NASDAQ, so I set a 15-tick target, which is the default. And then you can preset how much profit you would like to protect when the trade goes to break even, and in this case it is set at 1 tick. When you have everything set up the way you like, I recommend that you save everything as a template. Just give it a name, whatever you want to call it. And then remember here to turn your trade manager back on. Click Apply, and now you have the auto break even function enabled. We might actually get a number 2 signal here, a buy signal. We are getting a macro pullback signal here on the Hawk. It has since engaged, but it would have looked something like this. So we just hit our profit target there. And here it was followed up with a 4-arrow consolidation. So a couple of signals there on the Hawk scalper. No, Richard. Richard asked, good morning, Eric. Is today an official training day? Um, no. Well, every day is a training day or a trading day. I didn't think the market was going to bolt on me like that, so I took the opportunity this morning to just explain a couple of things on the Raptor. Maybe I should have set my trade first. Ah, that would have been smart. Okay, so we're looking at, something resembling a little bit of a double bottom. Here comes a soft edge buy signal that I was kind of waiting on. So what we're looking at here is a market that has retested the lows, retested the extreme, if you will. And even though we've got a monster downtrend, I'm not going to get too crazy here on the buy, but we may be seeing the bottom come in for the morning anyway. Now, anytime you do a counter trend trade in front of such a strong market, you need to be careful. The only nice thing about a counter trend trade is you know exactly where to place your stop loss. So you can see there's a lot of volume going through on this bar. Perhaps a second push entry would have been a little bit more advisable. These are the highs we got to get over right here around the 53, 94, 95 area. That's the real obstacle here. Yeah, Richard's asking, I'm wondering when the training days are. Any day is a training day, Richard. If you have a question, um, please ask away. Now that I'm feeling a little bit better, I'll get back to doing some of the Raptor videos. Otherwise, we have the sessions recorded that you can review. And once again, you can email Adam for that information. I took a real chance here. It might pay off. We're still holding the lows, which is good. We really need to see a little extra buying come into the market here. My stop is a little bit cozy as well. It's not uncommon to see a market break a low by a tick or two. Only to reverse and head higher. Just like that. Well, I knew I was asking for it, going counter trend. I really thought they might be getting ready to reverse, but I guess not. So that was unfortunate. Now I got a little bit of work to do. What I should have done is dialed down the risk amount on the trade. I just kind of hopped into it. Hey, way to go, Christian. Christian picking up $600 today. Nicely done, Christian. Well done. Yep, see you tomorrow at the Top Step Expo. And that's a reminder, no trading room tomorrow. I'm going to be in the middle of doing a presentation for Top Step Trader. All right, we're getting something resembling a trend change. And you can see what happened. The market just drifting low enough. What I should have done is, I suppose I could have used the support zone to cover my trade. So I'm anticipating this signal to print. This time I'll use the support zone. So we've got the warning dot. This again is going to be a number 2 counter trend signal, our soft edge buy. I need to adjust my trade slightly. Now I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more of a retest here and a failure. Aspen makes the comment here, Eric, when you do the videos, can you talk about anticipating the signal before it develops? And it's an important thing to be able to anticipate the signal, because not every single signal will be perfect. The Raptor, of course, will pick up on the perfect ones, but sometimes you're going to get something that has all the criteria. It's going to be slightly imperfect. And you're going to be able to have to be able to make a judgment call. Case in point, the possible soft edge buy signal that we have forming here. It is two things you need for a counter trend. You need to first have a trend, and then you need to have a test of the extreme and a failure. You need to see evidence that the trend no longer can continue. All right, I'm going to try to run this one out because I took a little bit of a hit on the last one. And unfortunately, the only reason I got tagged out on the other one is because my stop was too tight. think a pretty ambitious move here would to see the market retrace back here to the primary support at 54.09. Right now I'm just looking to get past the hard edge on the trading band. Come on, give me one more swing. Let's go. Sellers are going to be looking for opportunities to get on board here every tick the market makes higher. That's the danger with a counter trend trade in such a strong trend. You're going to be looking for any opportunity to short the market at a higher price. All right, we might be catching a little bit of an uptick. Come on, let's go. So it looks like this high right here, 53.97 quarter. That's our first major obstacle. We get above there, we should get a couple of ticks breathing room. There we go. So we're getting a bigger number 2 buy signal now. Hey, way to go, Gary. You guys are knocking it out of the park here today. Gary up $830. He says, I'm going to take a break and clear my head. Always a good plan. Okay, so sellers getting back on board now with the trend, and I don't know what it is with me today. I'm having a hard time getting on board at the trend side of the market. Come on, get up there. Like I say before, this 53, 97, 98 area, that's really the one we need to see fail. Once we get above there, I think we'll be in pretty good shape. Okay, here we go. We got a little bit of buying trying to come back into the market. Oh, spoke too soon. Ay, ay, ay. Don't tag me again. Oops. That's why with trend trades are so much easier to do than counter trend trades. Oh no, I'm gonna get tagged here again. There's some days I just get something in my head and I have a hard time fighting it. Today, for instance, I have buyeritis. Some days I just can't help but be short. Today, for whatever reason, it seems I've got to be long. Right, a great big double bottom, maybe. So now it looks like we're stuck here at 53.89. That's the high of this bar. Essentially 53.90. Sellers still pressing. Well, it's do or die now. We're either going to get above 53.90 or we're going to fall below the lows here. Yes, Tony, if I were smart. Tony says, grab your wife and go for a walk. Yes. Now, here they go. They're going to run the lows. Should have stayed on the trend side. Serves me right. Oh well. What's the lesson there, Eric? Making a big star on my journal. There will be a reversal somewhere through here this morning. Um, but the trend is just so strong to the downside. I would have been better off just arbitrarily hopping on board anywhere, so long as it was on the trend side. It looks like they're just drifting low enough here to tag all the short orders, or the stops of the buyers. Yeah, Tony says it's been a long time since we've been this low. A lot of people have been looking for a correction. It's typical, it seems, in the spring to see a little bit of a sell-off. What do they say? Sell in May and go away? Well, sometimes it happens a little earlier. Sometimes the time to short is in April. So probably need to wait for another macro pullback. We might see another reversal somewhere through here. Well, 53.70 getting a little stickier. So it seems anyway. Jasmine's asking, Eric, what does the cloud signify? Well, we use it for our directional bias. The hard edges of the clouds are significant in that they're the extreme points on the trend. So we always anticipate some sort of reaction when the market encounters the hard edge. Oh, great. Here we're coming back with yet another number 2 signal. Well, why should I let that one pass me by? Looks like we're getting a chance at a second push on this one. So hopefully it can keep me on the right side of the market. This 5380 area is going to be one to bear in mind as well over the next couple of days, certainly for tomorrow. All right, so I'm going to cancel that order. We did get a number 3 signal right here, a hard edge bounce. It didn't encounter the hard edge exactly, but it is still a hard edge bounce to short. They're kind of running past me here this morning. We had a green bar sell signal here on the hawk as well. Gary says crude is just maddening today. Let's take a look at crude. Here's crude on the Raptor. Oh yes, I see what you mean. Not much in the way of signals. Crude just terribly slow of late. It is looking like this number 2 signal is going to get some follow through. Now that we're down near the hard edge, we may see a reaction of sorts. Gary says look at it on the Eagle. All right, I will do that. Yeah, yesterday's range, nothing. Tried to give us an in-sync signal here during the European session. Does look like a great big bear flag, doesn't it? In this sideways channel, and now it's starting to break out lower, perhaps. All right, well, there they run off again. Oh, had a first micro macro cross signal print here. That would have been worth taking. The first micro macro cross, always worth a try. And you can see still some very good follow through off those signals. See, the buyers just not giving up. Sellers getting their licks in. Every time the buyers try to find support, the sellers knock them down. They're not getting as far, though. And that's to be expected. We've been trending lower since the open, so that's about an hour now. Not unusual to anticipate a reaction. Could probably throw a trend line across the highs here. Should be selling associated with any move back to the trend line. But somewhere in here we will see a retest, a failure, and a rally. comes that counter trend signal again. Okay, this one we have a chance to take the second push opportunity. The second push simply means that we allow the signal to engage, see the current limit of the market, and then enter above or below, as the case may be, that area. I don't know if I should go in. I got skunked a couple of times already. Maybe we'll go in a little bit lighter here today. And I'll try to run this one out again. No, maybe not. So here they come back with yet another hard edge bounce. We'll see if this low holds now at around the 53.64 area. We may get that reversal. Like I said, there is one coming. No, look at that. It just not letting up. It just goes to show you how important it is to stay with the trend as much as possible. And here they come again. Wow, what a crazy day this morning. So you can see we're getting a lot more yellow bars clustering if you're using your Raptor here. Um, the yellow bars, because the brick size is a little bit larger, not quite as obvious, but whenever you get yellow bars, it's showing shifts in momentum. Yeah, Tony says, Eric, sit on your hands. Stop trying to buy the market. All right, well, let's see what they get going from here, if anything. All right, so we're back up at this particular price level. This could also be considered a number two signal because it failed to resume the downtrend. Somewhere through here, you think there's going to be a little bit of profit taking. right. Well, what do you think? This looks a whole lot like another counter trend signal. The safer signal is taken above failure of a swing high right here. There's no question we've lost some of that earlier momentum that the buyers had, pardon me, the sellers had. Oh, there you go. Okay, I better stop. I better stop before I hurt myself some more. Well, now that I've finally convinced myself that I should short the market, the trouble is I can't really bring myself to sell it until I get a little bit of a pullback of sorts. And I may not get one of those. Look at that. Another soft edge buy signal here. Um, Trade forecasters saying we are in scalp mode, which is looking to be a little bit more evident. We're getting a lot of sideways trading, a lot of yellow bars coming in. Lots of sideways stuff going on here. Doug's asked a question here. With one of the quick number 3 setups, I hit the sell button rather than set prices routine. The program gave me 7 contracts. Is that an adjustable parameter? Yes. Make sure first off that you don't have 7 in the quantity window here and that you're not set on manual mode. You may want to follow up with an email to Adam and just explain the problem, because it should be defaulting to this quantity right here, your buy and sell market buttons. There we go. We're finally getting a little bit of follow through. Doug says, my quantity window is gray. How do I adjust it? Click here on your risk percent mode, and that will enable the manual mode, and then you can adjust your quantity there. All right. Are they going to really give it a go this time, or are they just messing around again? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hits across the bottom, so it seems like that's pretty solid support now. Daniel's asking, sorry I'm late, but the market seems to be moving faster than I've seen it in several months. Any news today? Probably. The news always tends to fit what the market is doing, so I tend not to follow the news that much. Okay, it looks like we're finally going to get that reversal. We're working a trend change signal here on the Falcon. We've already had the first micro macro cross and the macro pullback. I've been focusing here a little bit on the Raptor. All right, so here we go. Okay, I'm getting a few other people mentioning that they have a similar problem when they're hitting their buy or sell market buttons, that they're getting filled with more than the single quantity down here. The thing to do, folks, is to notify Adam. Let Adam know. He'll get the programmers on it. Okay, so we have several number 2 counter trend signals here. It looks like we finally got a break above the significant resistance point, and we're seeing a little bit of follow through on this one. As I stubbornly continue to buy, hopefully this one will have a little bit more follow through after what's been a very strong morning. I don't know what prompted this, but Tony's asking, does Canada have any nuclear weapons? No, no, we don't. We really don't need any, though. with the with NATO and NORAD and you guys being our neighbors. Tony says, just checking. Yeah, no, you don't need to worry about us, Tony. We do have nuclear power plants, but no nuclear weapons. Here on the West Coast, all our power is hydroelectric dams, and we always refer to our electricity here as hydro. And that confuses a lot of people because they hear hydro, they think water, but it's just the nickname that we have for hydroelectric. So if you're ever on the West Coast and somebody says, "Oh my goodness, my hydro bill was high last month," you'll know what they're talking about. All right, so finally, it seems like we're seeing a little bit of a retrace here, and the next stop, well, at the very least, 53.8075 looks like a plausible target. After that, a more ambitious resistance line at 53.92 3/4. I may look to just tag out at 53.80, and we're probably far enough along here that I should consider a stop, perhaps even a break even. Come on, get going. Well, they're taking their time here, but I do anticipate that we're going to see a little bit of a rally. So we're just going to button up the room at this point. A reminder, once again, no trading room tomorrow. I'll be doing the top step trading presentation. So if you can make it, it'd be great to see you there. Otherwise, I will, darn it, otherwise I will catch you on Thursday. We'll talk to you then. Bye for now.